Hey guys, it's Miss Ree. Today is Wednesday, June 17th. And today we are on lesson 13.5. So I broke down some lessons into halves to make it easier for you. Today what you're doing is just making your title for your story, and you're also editing your story, which means checking for mistakes, making sure it's the best that it can be. Sorry, my dogs are doing a lot in the background. You might be able to hear one of them snoring even. So again, today you're going to create an effective title as well as revise and edit an adventure story. So focus on story title. Title, why is it important? It's important because it's your first chance to make an impression on your reader. So the story that we've been reading, Treasure Island, originally the author was going to call this story The Sea Cook. So think about, which book would you rather read, The Sea Cook or Treasure Island? Me personally, I would rather read Treasure Island. It sounds more interesting, like The Sea Cook. I don't know, like who's a sea cook? Like it sounds like, I don't know. It sounds like I'm going to read about like some old man who is on a boat cooking all the time. We know the sea cook is obviously Long John Silver, but like you don't know that right out the gate, right? So think about when you have a title, like that's what pops out at your reader. That's what makes your reader pick up your story. Like when you go to a library or you go to buy a book at a bookstore, you look at the title and the cover first, right? So think about a title that is interesting. Your title should also have something to do with what the story is about. So if your story is about like people at sea, and pirates, like you're not gonna be like the princess who lost, like it's not gonna, it should have something to do with like pirates and being at sea, right? Effective titles are typically short and do not end with a period. So like your title is not going to be a whole sentence long, only like a few words. Like, so look at these ones like The Sea Cook and Treasure Island, right? Those are pretty short. The longer your title is, the more like your reader's like why is it so long? It's weird, blah, blah, blah. You're going to write your title on the Google Doc in the small box at the top. So this is what you're going to be filling out. I have the rubric right here at the top. Don't worry about that. This is the box where you're going to write your title. Like in this little short box, this is your title box. So whatever you choose for your title, write it in here. All right. So after you pick your title, you're going to focus on editing. So you're going to use the editing checklist, which is on the next slide, and it's at the top of your document right here, your editing document. It's where the finishing touches on your adventure story. The point is to focus on fixing any grammar and spelling mistakes. You can also take out any unnecessary details, replace parts of sentences with stronger verbs, more vivid descriptions. Make sure that you could also choose to rearrange your paragraphs to make sure that your story goes in a logical sequence, like it's making sense for like the time in which things happen. So look at the checklist on the next page. So this is what I'm looking for. And when you've read your story, like the number one way to edit your story and revise your story, my dog is like tearing a shoe apart right now. She's driving me nuts, is to read your story out loud to yourself. When you read your story out loud to yourself, you catch all of your mistakes. You hear what sounds right, and what needs to be fixed. So this is what I'm going to be looking for in your checklist today and what you do in your work today. So all your sentences have a subject and predicate. You've removed repeated words or information. You check the length of your sentences, and you split any run-on sentences into 2 sentences. You use strong verbs, actions, and descriptive details whenever possible to make it interesting. If you think that you've done all these things, you're going to put an X in this box on this page right here. It's the same exact thing on here. It just looks like a little bit, the font is a little bit different. Try to make it smaller. Punctuation. You reread, again, reread your writing out loud. Read your writing out loud. Read your writing out loud. Like, I cannot stress it enough. Like, that is the number one way to make your work better in everything that you do. Read your writing out loud to check for commas at pauses. So whenever you take a pause, like you take a breath, you should have a comma, and a check for periods, question marks, and exclamation points at the end of sentences. Every sentence should have a punctuation mark at the end of it, whether it's a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark. Capitals. You begin each sentence with a capital letter and use a capital letter for all proper nouns. You know proper nouns, we went over them. People, places, specific people, places, or things are all proper nouns. They should have a capital letter. The beginning of each sentence, the first word in the beginning of each sentence should have a capital letter on it. Spelling. Listen, this is like a blessing because you're doing this online. You can use spell check. Your computer literally, like on the Google Doc, will say that you're spelling something wrong. So go through and make sure that everything is spelled correctly because I will find it. And I don't like to do that. That's like not fun for me. I would rather just read your stories and have them be interesting and enjoy reading them and not have to like nitpick all this little things for you. So this is the Google Doc they're going to be doing. It says title and editing. You're going to write your title again in this little box right here, this skinny box. You're going to go through the checklist. I want you to copy and paste in this box. So you're going to take your story that you wrote yesterday, your complete story. All you're doing is copying and pasting it into this box. You don't have to rewrite it. You're literally going to copy it from the old document, paste it into this document, and you're going to use this rubric to go through, read it aloud to yourself, and make changes. And don't tell me that there's nothing to fix, there's nothing to change, because I've read everybody's story so far, and there's always something to change and fix. There's always something that can be made better. Nobody has a perfect story. There's mistakes in everybody's writing. Like, that's just being human. So you can do all this. Like, I expect to see changes. I expect to see things made better. I will be pointing it out, and I'll just be sending it back to you if I see that you didn't really do this. So remember, again, copy, paste your story into here and use this checklist to go through and check for each of these things in your writing. You've done this before. Do your best work. I'm looking forward to seeing your like revised